This side event is aimed at raising awareness on how evaluation can play a role in the country-level discussions around the Agenda 2030. How can evaluation inform progress on SDG achievement, and how evaluation can also contribute to more inclusive processes to implement the Agenda 2030? Two concrete cases from Finland and Nigeria. And these countries have been the very first to undertake an evaluation of the SDGs.
One of the key recommendations was that the future governments should adopt the 2030 agenda as a base for government policy. The evaluation team considered that if it is just a separate sustainable development policy, and then there is a government policy, government program somewhere else, then what might happen is that the government program actually guides the work of the government, and this sustainable development strategy is just in a way sidelined. So it should be integrated into the government program. You should focus on impact. And in our case, I would say that timing was one of the key success factors. To think about the political cycle in the country and integrate it in the right way into that political cycle, so that when you get the evaluation results, those results are interesting to policymakers and they come in the right time. In our case, they came 2 months before the election, but now, as I think of it, they could have came half a year before the election, or even a bit earlier, because that's when the political parties are making their electoral programs. And actually, if you really want to be effective, you should have these ideas in the electoral programs of political parties. So half a year or even a bit more. And then create ownership among political decision makers and civil society. If you want the results to be used, I think it's important that the policymakers feel ownership to the evaluation.
Evaluation is more of a political than a technocratic endeavor. And therefore, we need to provide some sort of background into the commitment that has gone into the implementation of the 2030 agenda itself. Basically, following the adoption of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, Nigeria acted very quickly in the overall implementation of the 2030 Agenda. And that led to the establishment in January 2016 of the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals right at the presidency, with fourfold mandates, clear mandates. That of providing strategic coordination and guidance for the SDGs, that of resource mobilization and management, that of advocacy, representation, and partnership building, and crucially, that of monitoring, evaluation, and reporting. Why prioritization and evaluation? We appreciate the fact that we need, going forward, to make our national voluntary reviews evidence-based. So we need to support that with evidence that is empirical, and therefore the need for an independent evaluation of the SDGs in Nigeria. So we quickly organized a capacity building workshop for SDG evaluation in country. So we were in Lagos for 1 week with all the monitoring and evaluation officers from the key federal ministries, departments, and agencies. Ada was there from New York, and supported the conduct of that exercise. And during that exercise, we looked at the National Development Plan in the ERGP, and we looked at the 3 objectives of the ERGP, and we said, among these 17 SDGs, which ones directly speaks to the intent of that our National Development Plan, which is the ERGP. And we collectively agreed that SDG 1, 3, 4, 5, and 8 speaks directly to the 3 cardinal objectives of the ERGP. We hope that by February 2020, we will have the final results of all the 3 evaluations, hopefully, and then we use the evidence to strengthen our 2020 voluntary national review for Nigeria.
Of course, then the findings created with an evaluation will be part of a political dialogue within a country. We can't assume that they will straight away decide what the priorities are, but I think we do have the possibility to inform the political dialogue. What is interesting from Nigeria is that they've decided to look at those goals, which are aligned, from the perspective of Agenda 2030. In using the principle underpinning Agenda 2030, we can look at those goals and how they interact with the others, and therefore, if the government of Nigeria is going forward with, as decided as part of their internal dialogue to prioritize those.
The cases of Nigeria and Finland, they are very timely, since we are all struggling the same challenges, how to coordinate, evaluate, measure the progress of the sustainable development policies and the implementation of Agenda 30. They are two completely different nations, like Stefan already said, but they are, in both countries, they are coordinated in very, very high level, which shows the importance of the Agenda 2030 and its implementation.